Mexican man of medium height was standing in front of the taxi. A taller man with his back to the approaching vehicles was bending over the engine of the bus. He was wearing a straw hat and a multicolored poncho. The leader, in the Mercedes, stuck his head out and motioned frantically back toward the Colombians as the vehicle stopped about 50 feet from the taxi and the bus. The Colombian driver jumped out with his weapon in his hand, yelling and cursing. "Move it now or you die!" he screamed. Soon the other man dashed out of the truck, joining in the yelling. The man in front of the taxi nodded solemnly, looked at his companion, and raised his hands slowly over his head, moving around to the other side of the car. But the bigger man did not move. His back was still to the Colombians. The Colombian driver fired around, sending 2 bullets through the multicolored cape and missing the man's torso by inches. But the man in the hat and the cape did not move, except to turn slightly to view the bullet holes in the fabric, much like a bull would glance at a fly on his flank. Neither the Colombians nor the terrorists in the Mercedes were looking toward the rear, where an American special operations agent in black assault coveralls had scurried out of the abandoned cafe straight to the back of the truck. The windows of the camper shell were covered with dirty curtains, so he reached his position without detection. He took a metal canister filled with pressurized, reconstituted halothane gas and clamped its rubber feet to the truck's gate, holding it in place. Then he fed a rubber hose into an opening at the corner of the rear window where it met the gate and turned the control knob on. The odorless, tasteless gas poured into the compartment that housed Secretary Kilmer and his 2 captors. But up at the front, by the bus, the 4 men in the Mercedes were getting nervous. Then the driver of that car slammed it into gear and, throwing dirt and stones, spun it in a half circle and sped off in the opposite direction. The American special ops agent scuttled underneath the truck as the car flew past. The 2 Colombians were still staring at the man in the hat and cape, who was not moving. They began laughing and taunting him as they walked closer. "Loco! Loco!" Then he stood up straight and turned around fully and faced them. That was when the Colombians stopped laughing. The man in the hat had an iron-hard expression on his face, and he was not a Mexican. He looked like an American. Caleb Marlowe, Colonel, United States Marine Corps, pulled his Beretta pistol from under his cape and sent 2 deadly rounds into the chest of one of the Colombians, then turned the fury of his weapon on the other terrorist. The injured man managed to get off 1 shot after he was wounded by Marlowe, but was finished off as he tried to escape by the gunfire from 2 more members of the unit, who were shooting from their hidden positions in the cafe. The gas in the back of the truck had partially overcome the 2 men guarding Kilmer, but they still managed to swing open the gate, though dazed and drugged, and started shooting randomly. A 3rd special ops sniper put both of them down with 1 bullet apiece. The operative at the rear of the truck pulled Frederick Kilmer out. He yanked off the black hood and allowed him to breathe in fresh air for a few minutes. Then his rescuers started talking. "Secretary Kilmer," the man said slowly and calmly, "I am Master Sergeant Mike Rockwell with a special unit from the United States. Can you understand me?" Kilmer nodded. "Sir," the sergeant said, "you are safe now." In a few hours, the secretary would be talking to his wife on the telephone while she sobbed in utter relief. His daughters, still at college, would learn later of his kidnapping and successful rescue. Colonel Caleb Marlowe shucked off his hat and poncho and shouted to his special operations unit, who were all assembling around the pickup truck and surveying the dead terrorists. "Okay, you bunch of heroes, game's not over yet. We've got to get those last 4 bad guys who just got away." Marlowe thought he knew the risks of that second phase of the operation. Their mission was to locate and kill 4 terrorists somewhere in the jungles of southern Mexico. It would not be easy, and it was guaranteed to be dangerous. For Marlowe and his unit, that much just came with the territory. But there was also something, even for Marlowe, that was yet unknown. Evil in its brutal design, and waiting. What he did not know and could not have anticipated was the unexpected toll that was about to be exacted, as during some horrible blood cult ceremony before a stone god.